We do have a quorum for our June 15th, 2022 meeting. So I will now call this meeting of the Industrial Development Board to order here at 10:13. Second item on the agenda next is our public comment period. Is there anyone wishing to speak? Any members of the public wishing to speak today? All right, seeing that there are none, we will close the public comment period and move to new business. First item under new business is approval of an amendment to the Economic and Community Development Incentive Grant Agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, the Industrial Development Board of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, and Cumberland Pharmaceuticals. Three documents. One, grant agreement between the state of Tennessee and the Industrial Development Board, accountability agreement between the state of Tennessee, Cumberland Pharmaceuticals, Inc., and the Industrial Development Board, and three, grant agreement between the Industrial Development Board and Cumberland Pharmaceuticals. So first we have representative from the state here. If you would come up and give us some background on the company as well as the what we're doing here and why the state chose to move forward with this. And again, team, these are all state grants, so the board in this case is serving as a conduit, but the funds are coming from the state. And just stay up here, obviously, for the next item as well. State your name too. We know you, but
Lindy Baronis with ECD. Thank you for having me, and thank you for this meeting to get through a couple of state items. As Nigel mentioned, this is a typical economic development grant that we use our Metro IDB as a pass-through for the funds. All of the funds are coming from the state as a state incentive. The total value of this award is $175,000 from the state. Cumberland Pharmaceuticals was an existing company with headquarters here in Nashville, and they are expanding their headquarter operation and also investing a little over $6 million to relocate their headquarters to Broad West. So very excited for them. Biopharma company. They're known as the largest biopharma company in the Mid-South. Mid-South seems an interesting territory, but yes, that's what this is for. 15 new jobs with a baseline of 70 existing jobs. So on the job side, a little bit smaller than our typical projects, but very significant because it is a headquarter operation with high wages, investing a very good amount of money locally into the community with $6 million for build out and expenses related to their new HQ operation.
And let's stop right there first. Is everybody familiar with the Broad West development? Knows where it is? All right, so Linda, you're obviously familiar. So this is basically where Broadway separates to West End. It's two towers developed by Probst Development. I think they're out of Alabama.
I think so.
But this is the site for those of us that have lived in Nashville, been around for years. This was at one point going to be a development, I want to say around the time of the recession. And this is where there was a big hole dug. It was like a swimming pool or a river down there. Exactly. And I think that's it. And I think to my recollection, at some point, HCA had looked at that location as well. But I drove by the other day, and it's a sight to see.
It's beautiful. If you guys haven't been in there or over there, it's one of our top tier office buildings now for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said they're investing $6 million?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is one of the projects we in the state and the chamber worked together. We toured the prospect for a good number of months. And
yes.
They definitely left Broad West for the layout, the Conrad Hotel, and I believe the halls from Charleston has opened up, and so one of the best steakhouses in the country is located there. So there's a lot of activity at Broad West, a lot of prospects looking at Broad West for HQ operations.
Thank you, Courtney. Yeah, it's a site to some marvelous development. So, all right, well, thank you. Before I turn it over to legal, are there any questions? I'll start here to my right. Comments? Board Member Forster? Board Member Johnson? Any questions, comments? Board Member Cordova? Board Member Davis? Vice Chair Siegel? All right. And Josh, if these grants these are the standard 3 documents that we have in front of us anytime we're doing these types of state deals, only significant difference are the terms of the deal and the name of the company, is correct?
Essentially, yeah, that's correct. I mean, these are basically form documents. So essentially just the information that's pertinent to that particular company is basically subbed in. But as mentioned, these are pass-through. This is a pass-through grant. There are 3 documents that are involved. And as you mentioned earlier, it's the grant between the state and the IDB, the second grant, second agreement, between the IDB and the company. And then there's an accountability agreement where all 3 parties are parties to that agreement, but pretty standard. I reviewed them and everything seems to be in order, so in a position for this board to approve if they so choose.
All right, thank you for those comments, Josh. Based on that, would anyone like to entertain I will entertain a motion to approve all 3 documents and the amendment for this economic incentive grant. Do we have a motion? All right. Motion by Board Member Davis. Do we have a second? Second. All right. Thank you, Board Member Forster. Motion has been properly second. We do have a proper second on the table. Is there any discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. All right. Motion carried and approved. Thank you. Moving on to under new business, item number B. Approval of an amendment to the Economic and Community Development Incentive Grant Agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, the Industrial Development Board of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, and Reven Therapeutics, Inc. Amendment number 1 of the grant contract 70675 between the State of Tennessee and the Industrial Development Board. Amendment to the Accountability Agreement between the State of Tennessee, Reven Therapeutics, Inc. and the Industrial Development Board. Amendment, and then item number 3, amendment number 1 of the grant contract between the Industrial Development Board and Reven Therapeutics. So they're already up here, so why don't you give us some background on Reven Therapeutics as well, please, Lindy?
Yes, so this is an amendment, as Nigel said, to an existing agreement and contract. We announced Reven's relocating their headquarters from California to Nashville, Tennessee in December of 2020. They have grown and are expecting to grow more and quicker than they originally expected when they committed to the initial numbers with us and what was approved here for an ED grant. And so we are just amending the agreement to include additional jobs that they are committing to. So initially on the table in 2020, we approved an incentive award for 127 new jobs. They came back to us and said, we're not only going to hit that, but we're also going to create another 136 beyond that.
In addition, on top of that.
So for a total, what you will see in the paperwork here, a total is 263 in their Nashville headquarter operation on Cumberland. They also had an initial in 2020 CapEx or capital investment of $10.8 million. They're investing because their footprint is larger and they're taking more space, an additional $4 million to that as well. So really excited for them. They are a publicly traded company, very, very well known, and we're excited that they decided to relocate their headquarters here to Nashville. And they truly are a success story. They are one of our kind of big testimonial cases. They talk a lot to our prospects looking here because their story is very much, we were committed to Nashville, we chose Nashville, and then once we got here, the landscape, the jobs, the workforce we could choose from was even better than we expected. We want to put more jobs here. We want to commit to more here locally. So very, very exciting company, exciting story, and we're excited to get them to commit to more jobs. And total total incentive now with the amendment is an ED or economic development grant for $2.6 million.
And what was it initially again?
It was 1.25.
So basically an additional 1.4. All right, thank you for that. Start here on my left this time. Board Member Johnson, questions or comments?
No, it just sounds like post-pandemic they're growing jobs, right? And so we're just providing a little more per job grant allowance. So yeah, sounds great. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean they more than doubled from what their initial commitment was. Is that if I have the numbers right? So yeah, that's pretty strong. Yeah. Any other comments or questions? Thank you, Board Member Davis. Board Member Wright.
Oh, just want to comment. That sounds good. I like the progress moving forward. Of course, more jobs. We love that. So I'm all for it.
Thank you. Thank you. We're excited about them.
Thank you, Board Member Wright. Board Member Forrester. Vice Chair Siegel.
No, it's just always nice to hear people talk about how great you are. So thank you.
They say it a lot for you guys. You must not, I mean, if we stay long enough in this room, I can tell you story after story, and Courtney can help me, but people love Nashville. Nashville is a place where I think we've had a lot of success over the last 10 years, significant success on the economic development side. I think over the last couple of years with prices rising and housing prices, there's been some other sides of the coin. But if you're looking nationally, we are still one of the most competitive locations and the most highly desirable locations for jobs. And we continue to hear day in and day out, while the labor market is tight anywhere and unemployment is extremely low, what is unique about Nashville is you can post a job locally or nationally and get somebody to either take the job here that has the skill sets, train them, or the person is willing to move here. And you're not going to find that in a lot of markets across the U.S. So Nashville is a very unique place, and we all love it, don't we, Courtney?
We do. And having met with the chamber last week, I think within the pipeline, we have between 20 and 30 prospects looking at Nashville right now. So that's typically on average, pretty much every month is something like that, 20 or 30 prospects. So it's a pretty robust pipeline. We have a very good partnership between the state and the chamber and Metro. And this is definitely in a growing market. And there are a number of cities that would like to be like Nashville. And so what you do here is actually help promote Nashville and tell the Nashville story. And as we see corporations looking to expand here and look at some great real estate projects, it's a great time to be in Nashville. So thank you all for your service. Thank you all for being here and supporting the Industrial Development Board.
Yep, thank you for those words. And, Lindy, to your point, a couple items, the fact that they relocated from California, again, just, if you keep up with the news and the markets, it seems that more and more companies are relocating from various states, and obviously the cost of living here in Nashville has increased, but compared to some other areas, it's still lower. And I remember, when I first started on the board, I shouldn't say several years ago. I don't think I had gray hair then, but when I first started, that was the conversation sometimes was around, are there enough employees here for these kind of jobs? And so it's refreshing to hear that, the talent is here, because companies are only going to relocate places where there's talent, obviously, and people want to be there. And so even with all the companies that we've had, Lance Bernstein, the Amazons of the world, the fact that iHeartMedia, the fact that there's still a strong enough talent pool here locally and or people are willing to move is really strong. So that's doubling your jobs in less than 2 years. Your projections is really strong, and in this tight market, labor market. So, and you said their initial capex was almost $11 million, and now because of their need for more space, they've invested another $4 million as well. Yeah. Okay. Well, very positive. Thank you. And the last part, I would just just say it's exciting to see the work that we do on this board and to see how Nashville has changed from, I guess, healthcare, which healthcare is obviously strong, but now we're also kind of moving into tech and biotech, pharmaceutical companies, media companies. So it's really a very broad economy, which is also really exciting. So thank you. Any other questions for Lindy?
And a special shout out to Josh for all of the paperwork. He keeps our companies and our office in line, and I appreciate him very much.
Well, let me also then, I'll thank Josh certainly because we wanted to try to get these items in if we could, as long as our board had time to review the documents. But I want to thank Courtney as well, because I think it was, I don't know, I was picking my kids up, summer camps, and I was on the phone with Courtney. I was like, well, do you have time to do it? He was like, I'll make it happen if you want to do it. So thank you to Courtney.
Thank you, Courtney.
As well. And thank you to Josh, and thank you to the board as well. So, Josh, I'll turn it over to you if there's anything we need to add here. Again, standard documents that we have with the state. Have you reviewed them? Any issues, any concerns from a legal perspective?
No concerns, no issues. As you mentioned, they are standard documents, so my comments are similar to what I would have said for Cumberland. This is just an amendment, so basically all these documents affects the amendment that the state has agreed to with the company. So I think everything's in order for this board to approve if it so chooses.
All right. Thank you. All right. With that said, I will entertain a motion for approval of the amendment to the Economic and Community Development Incentive Grant Agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, the Industrial Development Board of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, and Reven Therapeutics, and the three amendments for the three documents. Is there a motion?
So moved.
All right. Thank you, Board Member Wright. Do we have a second? All right. Board Member Davis, motion's properly second. We do have a proper second on the floor by Board Member Davis. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. All right. Motion carried. Well, thank you, Lindy, for coming today and sharing some information with us. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.
I'm sure we'll see you at the next one. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Today's meeting, do a very quick 2-minute recess just so I can set my, get with IT and set the laptop up, and then we'll reconvene here shortly. Thank you. Meeting. Thank you for everyone's patience. So first of all, good morning to the board. I want to share that echo the sentiments that we discussed earlier. I'm so grateful and appreciative to serve on this board, but more importantly, grateful for everyone here, the time commitment. This is obviously volunteer, so I want to thank everybody. I don't know if I say that enough, but really appreciate everyone. I appreciate your feedback. I don't know since I've been on the board that we've ever done this from a board perspective, but the purpose of today is to talk about where we are as an where we are as a board, the Industrial Development Board, where we are, what we've done, and potentially where we're going. And hopefully today I've captured the feedback that I've heard from this board. If there's other items that this board wants to explore, let's do it. And so I start off with this. Every day is a journey, and the journey itself is home. Matsuo Basino. Why is that? Because, quite frankly, we've been on a journey. Since I've been on the board, this is the fifth economic developer or director of economic development that I've worked with since I've been on the board. We've had new board members. We have new Metro legal representation. And obviously in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, we met, for those of us who have been on the board, I mean, it's just really been a year that we've started to meet again in person. So there's been a lot of challenges, but we've been on a journey. And part of this journey, I think that this board is going on is we don't necessarily know today where that journey leads us. So we have to be open and flexible and open to the idea of exploring and going wherever that journey leads us. These are some of the items I've heard that were mentioned by us in discussions. We've asked, what about this? We've talked about equity and inclusion. We've talked about rising housing costs, traffic, public transportation, infrastructure, concentration of poverty. Small businesses need help. How do people find out about the resources that are available? Metro ECD doesn't have a huge staff. There's not a huge marketing budget. And what I've heard from this board is, can we do more? So here's what I will present today in the state of IDB. First, what is the function of the Industrial Development Board? Review of recent accomplishments. Current Nashville economic landscape. Opportunities, and then what's next. So, IDB function. The function of the Industrial Development Board is to acquire, own, lease, and dispose of properties to the end that corporations may be able to promote industry and develop trade by inducing manufacturing, industrial, and commercial enterprises to locate in Nashville. Why do I say that? Well, I think it's important to understand our function, what this board's function is to do. This is our core function. Within that, however, yes, this board has approved, just like we did today, amendments for state grants. But within this core function, there's certainly opportunities for us to hopefully help with some of the challenges that we're seeing in our growing city. As always, I think it's always important to look back at recent accomplishments that this board has had, and when I say recent, I'm kind of going over the past year, but I think it's important to acknowledge those. Obviously, over here in the past 2 years, we've had 2 affordable housing projects come before us that have been approved. One, Highland, the Preserve at Highland Ridge, north on Dickerson, just north of Brawley Parkway. And then this past fall, we approved an affordable housing project at 900 Cleveland Park, south of Dickerson. So this board has talked a lot about affordable housing. Well, hey, we did 2 projects. Is it enough? Absolutely not. But that's something that I think this board should be proud of. We talked about it at the last meeting. I thought it was important to bring it up. Here in the past 2 years, we've also done a WeGo pilot in North Nashville. Why is that important? Well, we've talked about public transportation. And if you think about now with the rising cost of fuel, if you can't get to and from work and you don't have a reliable car and there's no public transportation, or you have to go travel all over to connect, that's a huge challenge. And so when this board talks about equity, I think that's a huge thing we've done. Obviously, last spring, just about over a year ago, we approved the Oracle infrastructure project. We also approved last fall Century Farms. So when we think about areas of town in Antioch. That project is certainly transforming that area. Nashville Hangar, Sky Harbor, we did that. That was last July. A company is, and this was a neat thing because there was no money that came from this board. We only served as the issuer because it was a bond. We only served as the conduit essentially for the TEFRA hearing. But this is a really neat project, and I'll talk more about that here shortly. We've obviously partnered with the state and approved multiple state projects like what you all saw today. Even though those funds do not come from Metro, this board has to approve them. And so just like we did today, and I think, again, when you hear about a company more than doubling their anticipated jobs, even during a pandemic, says a lot about Nashville and the work that this board is doing. Earlier this year, Courtney Poe did a board training for us that also included economic plan and future strategy, which was great so that we can see what the plan is, but also talk about the tools that we have in our disposal, especially as we have new board members, and we hope to continue to do items like that as well. And then when you think about what we did last week, we just approved new issuers council. So again, when you think about, the transition that we've gone through really over the past year, and we've talked about equity and inclusion, we intentionally, this board said we intentionally want to try to ensure that our pool of applicants fit into that model of equity and inclusion and diversity. We don't pick someone just because of that, but we want to make sure we had that in our pool, and we certainly did that. We went through the process and found what this board thought to be the best firm to lead us as we go on this journey, or to partner with us as we go on this journey. So again, another huge accomplishment by this board. When you take a look here, I just think it's interesting to see, and again, this is not necessarily just in the last year, but recent projects. This board has supported projects in various parts of Nashville. You talk about the 2 affordable housing projects on Dickerson, the National Museum of African American Music downtown, the WeGo deal in North Nashville, supported items by the airport, and certainly Century Farms in Antioch. So again, to me, this just illustrates this board continues to do work in all parts of the city, and we certainly want to continue to do that. Downtown is important, but that's not all we do. I'll show you a couple pictures here because I thought it was really pretty cool. So this is the Sky. Everybody, hopefully you received the invitation. It was I think 2 weeks ago, but really cool event at the airport for the Sky Harbor Nashville Hangars project. And I bring this up because one of the items that I can do, you can do, but certainly it's on me to do as chair of this board, is when we go to these events is to talk with these companies about Nashville, about future growth. And hey, listen, the last time this company, for example, came before us, this board didn't issue any bonds. We just served as a TEFRA, just for the TEFRA hearing. But letting them know that, hey, if you're interested, this board is open to you coming before us should you want to expand. Again, this board has to approve it, but just, again, having that conversation and really selling Nashville and the opportunities for the board. And that doesn't take a marketing budget. That just takes showing up, being present. More pictures there. Pretty cool event. Next one is... there we go. So this is the preserve at Highland Ridge. I've talked a lot about this. For those of you that weren't on the board, when they had the initial grant, this is, again, north of Brawley, right where the Lowe's and Walmart are located. So, again, I'm just super excited about this development. For those of you who have been on the board, if you recall, after we initially approved the bonds for this, the developer Dominium had to come back before us because they ran into some challenges. As you can see, there's a lot of topography, and they had some issues. And although, again, there's no recourse to this board for those bonds, there are some questions related to that. But it's nice to see the finished product. I remember going to the groundbreaking. I want to say that was spring 2019. And to see the finished product, and this is me from Dickerson Road, but just a beautiful skyline, really quality development. I talked a little bit about this last week, but Quinn and I attended Vice Chair Siegel and I attended the not only the grand opening ceremony for this, but it was also a celebration of the 900 Cleveland Park as well back in April. And I want to show this because I had the opportunity to speak at this event, and it was such an honor because this is something that we need. And why it checks all the boxes. Number one, it's quality housing, number one. Number two, we know that housing is rising, not only for people that are trying to purchase homes, but for people that are renting. So this is the kind of housing we need. But again, it's quality. It's also located right next to Walmart, where you can get everything you need next door. But then when we talk about transit, it's on Dickerson Road, a major corridor. So it's just a really, really neat. And as you can see, it's high quality. So here's a couple of pictures here to share with the group. Here, but just really excited about that development. And I'll tell you, one of the things I talked about in the this is what I was doing at like 12 o'clock. So I was like this morning. But one of the things I spoke about, and I went to high school. Many of you know I'm from here. I went to high school downtown, and we had to pay to park. When I was in high school many years ago, I parked for $2 a day. So it would me, my buddy, my other buddy, and my brother, we had to come up with 50 cents each to park our car all day. Can you imagine that today? This is right off Broadway. So again, that just speaks to the rising costs. And one of the things I mentioned when I had the opportunity to speak at the Dominium, the Preserve at Highland Ridge grand opening, was that, hey, what can we do? How can this board help for you to do more, is the question. Which leads us into the rising housing cost. We just talked about this. Companies are coming. We heard, relocated from California. And Nashville is growing. Courtney mentioned there's 20 to 30 companies in the pipeline. So more people are coming. People want to live here. It's desirable. But what happens? Housing costs go up. If you take a look at this graph, I think it speaks for itself. If you look at the purple line and see where housing costs were in Nashville, or typical home value was in Nashville just a little over a decade ago, and you see where it is now. And as you can see, too, it's actually surpassed now the U.S. overall average, which just speaks to how much Nashville is growing. I pulled this information from a recent Wall Street Journal article that I thought was very relevant and pertinent to our discussion today. 400,000. That's the number of residents who have moved to the metropolitan area, Nashville metropolitan area, over the past 10 years. According to a study done by the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, there are 150,000 additional people expected to move here over the next 5 years. So again, more demand for housing, more pressure on prices. 423,000 record median home sales price as of March 2022. Compare it with the nationwide median average of 337,000. Wow. But again, it's not just housing prices, it's also rent. Average monthly rent as of April 2022, $1,800 a month. That blows my mind that average rent is $1,800 a month to rent. What's even more fascinating is it's almost 20% increase from last year. $736,900 amount average new resident has to spend on a home. So somebody that's moving here, again, coming from California, more money in their pockets, more than the local resident. Again, putting pressure on housing. But not only is it just housing, it's also other costs. We've seen it. Fill up my car. We've seen it at the grocery store. But it's utilities, but also daycare cost. If you're working, Some of us just talked about the summer and camps and getting kids around. If you can't afford childcare, it's very much a barrier and a hindrance to consistent employment. I'll read you a couple, if you will, stories from this article, because this was an article that from the Wall Street Journal that profiled several people. First one, Miss Martin, and I'm reading directly from the article. Miss Martin, who works as a Waffle House cook, has lived in Nashville her entire life. She said the two places she has felt inflation most directly in recent months were at the gas pump and at the grocery store. To compensate for higher prices, she gave up her home internet service last year and began skipping snacks at the checkout counter. Recently, she left the city altogether, moving from a $1,300 a month two-bedroom apartment to a three-bedroom home in Sumner County, 30 minutes outside Nashville, for $1,400 a month. It's just not worth it to live in the city, she said. Haven't we heard that story far too often? It's real. This is it. Read you one more. This is about Star Malone. This is from the article. A patient scheduler at Nashville General Hospital. The rent on her three-bedroom apartment in East Nashville, where I live, has increased by $400 per month over the last 2 years to $1,240. She's changed jobs, but her hourly pay increased by only $150 to $1,750. She received Section 8 housing assistance, is taking budgeting courses at church, she said. I got a new job to move up to do better, make more money for my household, but it seems like it's still never enough. When I read that and I think about $1,750, doesn't go as far as it used to. But I want to share again, the theme of this is we're going on a journey as a board. When we hear these items, yes, there are problems, but we should be excited and enthusiastic because this board can make a difference. Can we fix and solve all the world's problems within this board? Absolutely not. But we can continue to work, aggressively do what we can do as a board. And I'm excited about that. I hope you are as well. So opportunities. So I want to be positive. I just laid out the market. Yeah, we had some good information today about companies moving here, and then I just gave you probably some information that you already knew, but it really hit home hearing stories and hearing the numbers. But we have opportunities. Where are those opportunities? Affordable housing, 501c3 organizations, and small business. So, how do we do this? What do we do? Well, number one, we develop and cultivate relationships with multiple affordable housing developers. Obviously, Dominium has come before this board twice for two different projects. Again, all projects have to be approved by this body, but the fact that that developer has come before this board twice is positive. Certainly, I think Vice Chair Segal and I attending the event and talking with them and this board giving them the positive feedback and me saying in my speech to them, can you do more? The same thing that we talk about, can you do more? Is positive. We've also reached out over the last several months to other developers that specialize in affordable housing to make sure that they know that, yeah, this board does the Oracle deals and the Amazon deals, but we also have approved deals and tax-exempt bond deals for Dominium to let them know that this board is willing to hear them out. Again, these deals have to be approved, but we're willing to hear them out. Next, explore. So with Dominium, the tool that we have used is the tax-exempt bonds, right? But over this journey that we're going on, let's explore other tools that we can utilize to positively impact affordable housing, because there's more that we can do besides just tax-exempt bonds. Next, and again, these are items that we can do, because I want to say this, there are challenges, right? But in my life, and what I always try to focus on is focus on the controllables. I can't control, there's a lot of things that you nor I can control, right? But I can call these developers. That's something I can do. You can do. Another one that I've thought about, and we've developed a relationship with them, is partnering with the Amazon Urban League Real Estate Development Program. We had the leader from that program, as well as Amazon, come talk to us several months ago to give us an update on that program. But if you recall, that program is geared towards minority developers, with the focus on those developers going through a training where they're exposed to legal, financial, other developers, and so that when they exit the program, they're ready to hit the ground running and develop. And the focus of the program is on affordable housing. Again, for those of you that have been on the board for several years, this board approved the Metro incentives for Amazon. So this is the example of a company that's come here, that's done some that received economic incentives, but is trying to be part of the community and tackle a problem that is present. And not only that, but obviously they've donated money to affordable housing as well. But this is an example of partnering with the Amazon RED program. So we develop a relationship with those developers that if they want to do an affordable housing project, they're aware, hey, you can come before the board potentially for tax-exempt bonds. Again, it has to be approved, but making sure that they know that those are small steps that we can take without spending any money that can actually be huge for this body and affecting the items that we want to see and improve. Again, attend events and foster relationships with community organizations that are touching people daily. Why is that important? This board has talked about, well, how do people know? How do people know about all the resources, right? Well, that's up to us. That's up to everybody, but one way to do that is to partner with the community organizations that are in the field, in the streets, that are seeing people every day, that communicate that to them. It's also going to events like the affordable housing event. It's going to the Sky Harbor events, and that's a commitment that I'm going to make to continue to try to do that, to let people know what we can do. 501c3 organizations. The YMCA has been before this, and I'm just using the YMCA as an example. The YMCA has been before this board in the past. They actually came before us, I want to say, within the past year for an amendment, but they've come before this board in the past related to tax-exempt bonds. They're a 501c3. There's other 501c3s that can come before this board, right? So it's not just affordable housing, but organizations as well that are 501c3s. And so I've certainly made some contact with some of those just to let them know, hey, if you're doing a development project, did you know that you have this option? And organization I spoke with said, no, we didn't know that. So again, those are the kind of items that we can take, even without a huge budget at this time, to try to improve that. And certainly, I talked to Courtney about this, and this came up again. Small business, we had a few small business incentive grants over the past several years ago, but there's a huge opportunity for that. And so that's certainly over the next year a focus that we want to have. And in fact, because it's great, again, it's great to hear about Cumberland Pharmaceuticals, Reven, Oracle, Amazon, but small businesses are a huge part of a thriving economy as well. And so it's good practice for us if we want to have a long and strong and deep economy to also have a strong small business pool. And small businesses for everyone, North Nashville, Antioch, and certainly minority-owned businesses as well. I'll stop there. What's next? So I showed you what the function of the IDB is. And again, I serve on this board because I believe in economic growth and economic development can play a strong and positive role in impacting the lives of everyone. That's what this board does. That's the function. But over the next year, I would ask you, what is our vision? And the vision isn't what we are today. It's not even necessarily what we're going to be next year. It's what we aspire to be. I don't know that we have that today. I think there's some key themes that I've heard this board talk about. And we have our function. I read that. That's our function. But over the next year, I challenge us to come up with our vision of what we aspire to be. Retreat. Planning to have a retreat. I've never done this since I've been on the board. Something that we've talked about. And again, it comes back to choosing the issuers council that we did. I think there were other candidates, but part of it was which company is going to partner with us to help us go on this journey. And we did. And so we'll have that in Q3. We'll also have an expert also in economic development for Memphis. And again, right now we're on a journey to learn and explore future opportunities for everything that we can do. I've talked to several developers, other stakeholders. If there's something the board would like to do, I would love to do an affordable housing summit and do it annually. Start our first one over this year, which this is not a 2-hour meeting, but we dedicate, half a day or a day to developers, to other people in the community organizations, to new developers that are coming in, and let's see where there's opportunities for us to potentially partner and also continue to keep affordable housing in the forefront. Because again, as I just read to you, how more and more companies are going to continue to come here because more and more people are still going to continue to come here. We're already behind on affordable housing units, so that's not going to change. So what can we do to continue to move that forward? If that's something the board would like to do, again, I've talked to several developers on board with it. I like to do the same thing about small business. I tell everyone a few years ago when we did a few small business incentive grants, you don't really see those in the paper. They don't get all the headlines. The Oracle deal, huge deal, got a lot of headlines. Amazon deal, Alliance Bernstein, and those are great. I'm not saying anything negative against them, but the goal is to also not let small businesses fall behind, especially during this challenging time with the pandemic. So I like to do the same thing with small business if this board is open to that. And again, do it annually. So these would be two huge events that this board would do every year. We've talked that we're going to have a retreat. We're going to have a guest speaker there. But moving forward, let's have more guest speakers. If there's an expert nationally on TIFs, if there's an expert on affordable housing that works with the board, here's what we've done. Even if we have to pay, let's do it. Doesn't mean we have to do it every month, but let's do that. Let's see what's out there. Let's continue to grow and change this board and grow. So part of us moving to and growing is developing a more consistent revenue stream. So the goal would be, again, now that we have issuers council in place, to look at our revenue stream, and we've talked about this previously, our fee structure, and first start with bonds. And then and do it in a holistic approach, starting with bonds and then looking at pilots, everything. And what that will do for us, right, is obviously we don't have a lot of money right now. So some items we're limited on in expenditures. But once we develop that revenue stream, then that opens up more possibilities for us to continue to pursue initiatives that this board would like to pursue. But part of that starts with developing the revenue stream. Next, if we haven't done this, over the next year, say we should have committees to focus on, whether it be affordable housing, small business, or something else. And the great part about this board is, listen, I understand that this is already volunteer. You show up here to meetings, you have to read items before meetings, so I appreciate it. So committee is optional. That's not, I mean, first of all, if you can't come to me, you can't come to a meeting, but the point I'm trying to convey is the point of the committee is not for anyone to feel pressured, but it is to allow us to, for those folks that do or have the time, the wherewithal, the capabilities to do more, to focus on these subjects in greater detail and then provide updates and potential recommendations to this board. We're still looking into what that looks like from a legal perspective, but we've talked about this in the past, and for this board to go and continue to grow, it's another step necessary. Another thing we've done in the past, again, Courtney presented economic development strategy and plan, but also kind of a board training just on the tools that this board has. That's something that we need to continue to do annually. If someone were to leave the board, obviously we would have a new board member, and certainly we'll have turnover here in the next couple of years just from potentially from people falling off the board. So that's something that we'll make part of it every year. And even for current board members, it's great to get that kind of update on the tools that we have in our toolbox, as well as ethics training as well. Some of us had to do that. I had to do this back in the fall, but Josh has some ethics training as well that we've discussed, and so that's another item. Again, we're all serving on the board, so it's just good to bring on to ensure that we're following everything properly. Multiple meetings. I don't, again, I respect everyone's time, but I go back to what I've seen as chair over the past year. For example, some of the more complicated deals, it certainly seems like it's more advantageous and beneficial to kind of do those potentially over multiple meetings. We did that, if you recall, for the infrastructure project that was approved back in the fall for Century Farms. We had the developer come before us, kind of talk to us about it. We had our issuers council explain it to us, but we didn't vote that day. That's not the point. It was to get everybody comfortable and ask questions, and then the matter was up for vote following that meeting. So what I've observed, and that's fine, is that, you know, especially when we get to those kind of complicated more complicated deals with bonds, and there's multiple lengthy documents, from a procedural standpoint, hey, come before us, talk to us about it before the deadline that you need to vote. And obviously, when they come back, this board can approve or disapprove or defer, but that seems to be something that worked well with Century Farms, and something that I would say would be beneficial to do moving forward. Next, I thought about this as follow-up on incentive deals. So, again, last week, if you all recall, we had WeGo's council come and talk to us and give us an update on the WeGo project in North Nashville, which was, again, really was not the point of the meeting. What necessitated that was the developer needed a document which this board is required to execute based on the lease and pilot agreement that we did back at the end of 2020. But I thought it was a great opportunity to also talk about public transportation and get an update on the WeGo project, especially as we have new board members. And for those of you that were here, it actually led to some really great discussions about North Nashville, small businesses, minority-owned businesses, public transportation, infrastructure. It was really a robust discussion. So one of the things that I'm going to do a better job of is making sure, you know, once we pass a deal, is making sure that we're getting updates. So it's not just gone away and we've forgotten about it for 2 or 3 years. That way, when you're out in your community, or, you know, you can talk about someone asking you, hey, what's going on with this? So we'll make sure over the next year that we do a better job of that. Up next, huge to me, and again, just something I've thought about over the past several months, mentorship and next generation of leaders and mentorship. I think about, for me personally, growing up, my favorite classes were social studies, and when I was in high school, economics. I loved it. Just clicked. It made sense. I was passionate about it. And so we have, with us being in Metro Nashville, and again, I'm public school educated, I think we have a great opportunity to mentor the future board leaders that will be here after us. And so I've reached out to some community organizations and also some student-led organizations, and also some schools as well. And I think that hopefully next year we'll have some potential middle school or high school students attend some of our meetings. I just think to myself, when I was in high school, this would have been neat for me. I didn't know that there were boards that did work like this. So again, that doesn't cost us any money. But there's certainly a huge opportunity for diversity of schools and other student-run organizations to come to our meetings and learn about what we do, and hopefully we're developing the next set of future leaders. And then lastly, is this something we're going to do next year? Probably not, and that's okay. But I've thought about over the past year, especially specifically over the last several months, and I think about, who's being affected. Well, we talked about it. We talked about it last week. You're renting your house, the rents have gone up, or your landlord wants to sell the house, and your lease is up, so you got to go. You go look for somewhere else. It's $300 more a month. You can't afford it, so you move way outside of Nashville. Or you're a small business. We talked about this last week. You're renting your space. Rents have gone up on commercial real estate as well. You can't compete. You got to shut down your business, which again impacts the character that makes Nashville so great. And so, this board does have the ability to acquire land. We haven't recently, but we can. Am I saying we're going to do that next year? No. It might be after my term is over. But I would love for this board to get to the point where we've got enough money and revenue streams so that if the right piece of property becomes available, that this board can own it and then control what that development looks like with ownership.
Chair, I would just note that in my real estate practice, I see development boards do this all over the country all the time. This is not an unusual practice, so thanks for bringing it up.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right, Vice Chair Siegel. Well, I won't get into that because there's some things that happen. Well, yeah, there's some things that happened a few years ago with this board and money, but anyway.
None of us were on the board.
Well, no, I was on the board.
Were you on the, had you just started?
No. But anyway, I won't get into that. Irrelevant, so history. But regardless of that, that's why I bring this up. Again, it's about we can't do all of this. I'm not saying we can do all of this tomorrow, but it's what can we do. And again, when you think about let's imagine if this board, had even a 3-acre parcel, say somewhere off Dickerson. I'll just use that as an example. Okay, well, all right, well now we know affordable housing is needed. It's in the city. It's close to all the major options. It's close to transit. Hey, we could then sell that property to a dominium, for example. There's a lot that we can do if we had that, right? And again, we're in a metropolitan area. I'm actually doing some, to Vice Chair Siegel's point, I'm doing some work now looking at, for my job, doing some site selection. And yeah, like I'm dealing with similarly, boards like ours or development corporations that own huge parts of land that they're controlling with the use that they want, because they own the land and they've set it up. So are we going to get there? And again, it's a little bit different in what I'm working on for work because it's on the outskirts. But again, the point being that this board can do that. Can we do it tomorrow? No. And again, it may be after my term might be over. Your term might be over, board member, right? But that would be really neat, I think, to get to that point where we can do that, because then you control it. And you don't have to develop it immediately. You wait till the time is right. So, anyway, I'll stop there. I really, before I end, and again, if you all have questions or feedback, that's fine.
Is this going to be on the website in case people want to look at it after the meeting?
Huh? All right. Well, let me touch. Let me touch this up. I was a little drowsy when I was touching this up last night.
It's on the video, right?
Yeah, it's on the video.
See it. That's
Yeah.
the best way. Okay.
It'd be good for us to be able to go back and look at it again so we can add to it and, expand on those things you're talking about. Because there's some points in there I really, really love.
Okay. Let me
They're great.
let me review it. I was touching this up. So let me review it, just stuff, and we'll get it out.
It's that 3 kids after bedtime lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. But lastly, I'll just say this again. Let me thank our Metro team, everybody with our Metro team. Great job. Have enjoyed working with them. Really appreciate all of their efforts, and certainly I want to thank them as well, because the Metro team, Courtney, Josh, Michelle Bosch too, and finance were very instrumental in working through the selection process for. Thank you. Yeah, let me take that off. Hey, how about this? Let me unplug my computer. Thank you. But anyway, so thank you for pointing that out. But yep, thank you for they're instrumental in helping with that. And again, I hope the tone of today, I hope, is positive. There's challenges, right? But this board, it's exciting. We're in a city that's growing. We have partners in Metro that are working with us. And yes, I said the theme of today is the journey. We have to be open and flexible and enjoy the journey wherever that happens to lead us. But when I think about the people on this board, I see passion, I see engagement, and I think about the other partners that are happy to work with us. There's a lot to be excited about. And for me, again, it's my second term on this board. I'm just as excited as I was 7 years ago. So anyway, thank you all for your time. If you have any questions or feedback, we can certainly discuss it. Thank you.
Hey, great job, Nigel. I really enjoyed that. I'm just going to say this. I think Nashville's at a crossroads. I just got back from Dallas and doing a presentation about economic development. A lot of my peers in our sister cities and cities throughout the country they see the growth in Nashville. They see the opportunities in Nashville. But also they are concerned about Nashville because they're seeing this hyper growth. My peers in Seattle, in Austin, in San Francisco, their growth took place over a 10-year, 15-year period. They see the growth here in Nashville over a 5-year period. And that growth has changed the character and dynamics of Nashville. If our peers of surrounding cities and people from other cities are concerned about us, we need to be concerned about Nashville and where we're going and direction of Nashville. Is this a proper structure of government? Is it a proper entity to deal with housing? We shouldn't just say affordable housing because it's really a housing crisis right now in Nashville. Small business crisis. How do we look at Nashville and prepare itself for the growth over the next 10 years, bringing 150,000 people here? Our infrastructure, our institutions, policies. Are they the right policies? And this board, what is the right format of this board and structure for economic development for Nashville? Those things you need to think about as a city, as a board of industrial development board, because it's striking that we have our surrounding cities, not just surrounding here in Tennessee, but around the country, because they see the issues that they dealt with hypergrowth. We have opportunity to really deal with growth here in Nashville now, to get it right, to create a plan and a strategy for housing and economic development and workforce. So I encourage you to be engaged, to be involved, talk to your council members, be engaged with this board, talk to the various entities that make up the apparatus for Nashville, the very structure of government. So it's a warning, but also I think you have some encouraging policies and structure here, what Nigel just said. So take advantage of the opportunity.
Yep, thank you for that. Yeah, you want me to? I'll just start here. Go ahead, Board Member Wright. Well, thank you. Thank you for those comments, Courtney.
Yeah, Courtney, those are great. Yeah, definitely. Chairman Hodge, I just want to give you my appreciation. Like you mentioned, we're all volunteers, but you went beyond, the volunteer element of putting this together to give us more focus. Because when I first started, I wasn't really, I understood what the board was and what our base job to do, but you have kind of opened up as to what we need to do. And I'm here to do more, not just to sit here, not just to vote, but to actually take what experience I have. I'm an ED of a 501c3 affordable housing development organization. So a lot of those points you touched on are things that are problematic for us. The land issue, being able to develop, the bonding issue, all those things affect affordable housing. So I'm here to do more, so I want to be part. So this today is what I needed. I needed that extra push to say, hey, great showing up for the meetings, but you're here for more. Not just for the meetings, but to actually do more for Nashville. So I appreciate what you've done. I really do. Thanks.
No, I appreciate it. It's an honor to serve, so thank you. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. I'll go here to Board Member Johnson if you have any comments, feedback, questions. Or we're just talking about
He's just going around the board.
I'm just going around. I always start on the end, but I can go to Board Member Davis. That's fine. I can come back to you again, too.
Well, thanks, Nigel, for the presentation. That was amazing to see the things that I talk about with my peers and my peer group be presented on a screen. Some of the stuff that you read, one of those was from a person who we actually helped during the tornado, and they gave that interview. So a lot of the things that were put up there, I'm glad it was said, because sometimes I ask specific questions, not because I don't think it's good development, but because I hear those stories all day, every day. And I think that's important to know. One of the other things a couple things that I want to highlight, I was taking notes, aside from a couple typos, so don't post that.
Thank you.
You did amazing. I hire people to do my PowerPoints because I suck at that. But I just,
Thank you.
want to point that out. I'm better with numbers.
That's why I like this board. It always holds you accountable.
PowerPoints. I think that there are some other I love what you put, but I think that with the way Nashville is as a city, and I'm not just speaking from a development perspective, I'm speaking from a cultural perspective as well, retaining the people that are moving here from these companies is going to require us to get a little bit uncomfortable and have hard conversations that extend beyond buzzwords like diversity and equity and inclusion. And I don't know if Nashville is prepared to have that conversation yet, but I do think that we need to start putting some things in place on the government side and on our side to make sure that those conversations are had when we're talking about development. But I'm looking at doing my own research and looking at a lot of different economic development boards and how they're structured. And Memphis's board stood out to me. I actually have friends that I didn't know that were on that board and that work for their board. And so as we're looking at that, I'm just wondering, are there opportunities with what Courtney said about where he went to present? I would have love to hear what was presented in that room, just because I feel like that's knowledge that I'm unaware of. You know what I mean? I need to be able, you can't be what you can't see kind of thing. And I feel like we could look to some of these cities that are concerned and maybe utilize that speaker thing that you were talking about to bring them in to kind of serve as consultants, I don't know, to help us to think through ways that we can effectively use the tools that we have, because we are in a very kind of strange situation as a city. And I think that a lot of people would love to, a lot of economic programs would love to come in and one, study Nashville to see how things can shift if we do the proper things, but also to like help us. So Memphis is right down the street and we're using their lawyers. Like, they have a great plan. Can we like just boop, boop, you know, take a little bit of it or visit them or have them visit us? That's just an idea. I could stop there. I have more points.
But to go to your comment about where it spoke, that is the the International Economic Development Council. I'm a board member. I have taught a number of IDC classes. It's about 5,000 members right now, a board of about 50 individuals. We actually the Tennessee hosted the last year's conference. Nashville was not engaged. I think they brought the conference here, started the process. They had reached out to individuals or the mayor's office at that time a few years ago, and I guess there was a disconnect. And my involvement currently, we don't have the budget to support that, so I actually pay out of my pocket to attend the meetings and travel to represent Nashville and Tennessee as it relates to economic development and talk about issues of economic development. So,
we have fun, and when something like that comes up, I would like to know, because we don't ever use those funds.
I don't say
we might be able to help.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Courtney. We all like.
Well, I'm dedicated to my profession and make sure that I get things done. If it's, I've been blessed over the years in my career and my investment, so doing these.
Yeah, you still shouldn't have to pay for that out of pocket. But I raised that question because I love what Nigel put up there, but I want to make sure that we're being realistic in how we can begin to approach some of these big bucketed things, because as I'm looking at, and I'm not a economic development, I don't claim to be an economic development expert by a long shot, but I do understand government. And looking at that, it looks like in Nashville, the way we are positioned, even with ECD not having a budget and him being a person of one.
Yeah, no staff, exactly.
Us not, it would be different if we were a standalone entity with staff, with most of our projects being run through the chamber, and I'm just being real. We have elections coming up. So as a board, if we want to do stuff and we want to change things, I don't think it's going to start by us just popping up to these events and being the mayor. I think we need to really put some things in place as a board and say, here's what we would like to see happen, and put it out there. That might be a little bit too political, but I definitely think that we need to figure out what we need from our next administration, because the next elections are rolling around, and this is a perfect time to take what you put up there. For all of us, we are a board full of community leaders that have these different things that we want to see happen. Why not have something that we can say, we need ECD fully funded, we need these tools, we need those tools? That's just my thought. And then the other thing is, I think if we're being realistic about what our role is as a board, we need to figure out what our role is, because I'm always confused. I made the joke to Brian today, I'm sitting on the consultant side. I usually sit on the advocacy, organizing, nonprofit side. And that's a real thing, because I do feel like sometimes when we have these conversations, I either feel like I need to be quiet, or I feel like I'm coming into a conversation after a conversation had already happened. And sometimes there tends to be swaying of conversations, and I'm glad he has his Robert's Rules book out, because sometimes I feel like we miss the point of if you are consulting with somebody, you should not be driving the conversation at all. You should not be following up questions, because essentially you're participating in the vote, right? Am I right? It's Robert Rules? Okay, I'm just making sure the lawyer stamped it. And I don't want to be the activist, even though I'm the only activist on this board all the time. So I don't want to always point it out. But I do think in going forward, because a lot of the things that we're mentioning at PowerPoint are things that I know you probably do, and I do that every day. I'm out in the community every day, but I don't want to be here representing that if we're not going to be ethical in the way we approach these conversations and votes. You can't be getting paid and then talking about it and then recusing yourself. That is unethical. And I haven't said anything, but I am going to make it my point to say something going forward.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not sure about. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, absolutely.
You sure you want me to say it on record? Because we could have an offline conversation.
No, say it.
You tend to do it a lot. There have been a few votes that have come up where you've asked probing questions, or you'll reiterate the good things about what they've done, and then you'll recuse yourself on the back end for a conflict of interest. And I just think that that's unethical. And I think if we're talking about doing good things in the community, we have to start with cleaning up how we handle business as a board, and that's like number one for me. Or else I'm going to pocket my relationships in my pocket, because I have a duty to protect people who I say this is what I do as an organizational leader. So I just want to state that clearly, that happens a lot on this board.
Well, if that's the way you feel, that's fine. I mean, for me, I'll just tell you, my intent, especially as chair, is typically, and that's why I give everybody an opportunity to speak. It's because, I might talk about one side of this, but I'm also, if there's one side of a topic that's been brought up, I also want to make sure that the other side is brought up for all scenarios, because to me, and this is just my personal opinion, it's to make sure that everybody understands all the pertinent information around a specific scenario, which is why I certainly try to, give everybody an opportunity to speak and have their point heard. But I appreciate the comments and feedback.
And I do want to clarify, I don't think that I'm not saying this to say that anyone has bad intentions. I don't think anybody would serve on a voluntary board with bad, evil intent. I don't think that. But I also think that intentions don't always dictate direction. And if we are headed in a certain direction, we can't just focus on what our personal intent is. We have to be transparent, honest, and straightforward about what our direction is. What direction are we going? What are we holding people accountable to? How are we operating as a board? How are we making sure that we stay within the certain parameters of Robert's rules and we're ethical? So it wasn't about a personal intention thing. It was more so before we start talking about doing these big things, and I wear a lot of hats in the community. I don't want to be seen as this person that's doing economic development and there are backdoor deals happening or things are being done I'm just being real. I'm more responsible to the community than I am to making money for the city.
No, thank you for your comments. And I'll just tell you personally, just on me as chair and certainly serving on this board, I don't think, I'm not aware of any backdoor deals, and absolutely, that's not something that personally I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. But again, for me, it's really just about, when we're having the conversations, my goal is to try to make sure for any matter that comes up, that comes before this board, that everybody has all the information. People vote, again, everybody votes how they want. I just try to make sure that all the information is out there for all facets, and then that way everybody understands, and then people vote how they want, whatever it may be. But thank you for your feedback on that. And absolutely, we want to make sure this board absolutely do everything we can to tackle the issues that we're talking about, but do it in the right way, certainly. So thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Mr. Chair, if I can just speak just briefly.
Sure.
I do want to make sure it is clear to everyone that obviously legal here is a resource. So if there are questions that you do have about ethical concerns, certainly feel free to discuss those with us. I try to be mindful and cognizant of those as well, obviously. So if I do see something, I don't have a problem speaking up to say it. So I'm not here to defend anyone, but I would just note that since I've been on the board, I have not seen anything that's been concerning to me that would require me to sort of speak up. So again, if there are concerns that you do have, please raise those with me, because there may be something that I may be missing. But, to your point that you just made, I mean, you're a board, you're doing a public duty, and you certainly want to instill public confidence in the work that you do. So obviously, if you do have some concerns, please raise those so they can be addressed.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh. Board Member Cordova, any questions, feedback, comments?
Well, I mean, as usual, there have been a lot of good statements made before me. I think, to echo my colleagues here, I think this is a good time for us to be ambitious. It's way past overdue to be ambitious and to understand our role and, reach for what's next and do the big things that we all signed up to do to help the city move forward. I think the fact that we've got a world-class economic development director here willing to help us, we've got Metro Legal here willing to guide us, we've got great leadership in our chair and our vice chair and our various other board members. I think I appreciate the fact that you're willing to have the conversation now about what we can do to do more, and that we should all take that to heart and lean into doing more to establish the norms, because at the end of the day, I think this conversation is way overdue. To the points that have been made, we are in a position where we can miss the opportunity and miss the window, and I think it is incumbent on us to ensure that we put the priorities of the community that we serve and are a part of at the forefront of where we want to see our city move, as we were charged to do. And that means, I think, taking all the avenues that we have available to us to put that forward. So I want to say thank you again for doing this, and I'm excited to see where this goes. So.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the comments and feedback. Davis.
It's too fast or something. Hang on. How about this one? Check. All right, this one. Okay. Get the button at the same time. Sorry. Oh, wait. How about yes. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair, for that presentation. I will say that was awesome. Chef's kiss on the curtain transition and the PowerPoint. Really love that. I learned a couple nice points, just like when Courtney made that presentation a few months ago. Didn't know about the land thing. That's really cool. And just to know that there's a lot of possibilities we can work on. I think the Memphis conversation is a really good one. I was really excited that we hired our new council. And I think the retreat would be a good idea for us. And if we treat it like your typical kind of leadership retreat where we do figure out, okay, what are the things we really want to do as a board outside of just ECD pass-throughs and things like that, which we're always going to have that core work that we do. But then if we sort of kind of from a leadership style perspective, figure out what are the other things that maybe we could build to. For me, I would be I want to do more affordable housing deals, not just when it just comes from the developer and we get lucky and it's just some kind of pass through, but can we do some on our end, that maybe it's one a year that we sort of somehow lead, or, it's a public private partnership, that sort of thing. I don't know what it looks like. I just, that'd be something I'd be really interested in. And I think if we're all kind of rowing together, if the mayor and council, I know at council we had a certain amount of money each year that we can do MDHA pilots, for example. And so, if they're maxing out on their end, if the mayor through his affordable housing program, and then if we're doing something on our end, then we're all rowing together and we're getting as many units as we can each year, right? And that would help our housing crisis, our attainable housing crisis, but we're hoping the developers help solve the regular housing crisis as well and the market rate crisis. And we can just keep growing in a way that doesn't hurt everybody. So anyway, that's kind of the stuff I'd like to focus on, but I think a retreat will help us get, wrapped around that. And then I will just on that other conversation, I'll just offer, we all kind of come to this board with different biases and stuff. I think it's important to remember, some of us are maybe a little more pro-business all the time, and it's kind of you're going to be more pro-business. Some people are not as, I think there's just different perspectives on the board, and that's why, we all have different opinions and perspectives. We come together and we vote, and that's sort of, whether it's a body like council or us, it's a democratic process. So, I'm a business owner, so maybe I'm pro-business, but also I'm known as a big labor guy. So, I'm somewhere, I've got perspectives from all different areas. So, appreciate the presentation again, learned some things, and look forward to seeing what else we can do to help Nashville as a board. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Again, that's why I wanted to talk about our function. We do have the function of the IDB, but certainly that's what we've heard. Let's see whatever we can do to do more affordable housing. And I think I shared this last week. Been reading the book To Love a City by Reven William Barnes. Obviously, the Barnes Fund is named after. Really fascinating book. If you haven't read it, that book was written in the early 2000s, and a lot of the same topics in that book: affordable housing, poverty, education, etc. It's still a challenging issues we have today. So anyway, really neat book, and certainly agree. And again, to me, it's good economic development, though, because what makes Nashville great is we have people of all different income levels, all different walks of life. That's kind of what gives Nashville. We use the word character. That's what gives Nashville its character. And if a lot of people are having to move outside of town because it's too expensive. Well, and I've said this before, the same things that made Nashville great and attractive change. And I know that's hard to maintain that culture as we grow, but that's what makes our city unique. So, and you're exactly right. We do have a diverse group of people on this board, different walks of life, different jobs, different professional backgrounds, and that's what's great. I've been on this board for 7 years, and we've had some very spirited, engaging conversations, and I'm fine for that. As chair, if there's ever a time where you feel like you weren't able to say, or I didn't give you enough time, then let me know, because I want that. Hey, there's nothing personal about having differences of opinion. That's why we're all here. We're nominated by different council people, different council members, but that's what makes this board so great. So we have people from all different walks of life and different perspectives. So thank you for your comments. I'll end with you, Vice Chair. So you got any comments or feedback, questions?
No, I want to thank you for doing this. I think it is long past time that we do this, not just on this board, but as a city. I say this a lot, but Nashville's kind of been really lucky to get where we are because we haven't had a plan to get here. We haven't done what most cities work really hard to do as we're doing it, and it just feels kind of like luck. And I would like to thank board member, I just want to call you Tequila. I'm very bad at that. For reminding me about Robert's Rule of Order. I've been meaning to brush up on that. Different chairs have run this board differently, and so sometimes it's more organized as it is with our current chair, and our previous chair was more of a throw out comments and questions whenever, and I have not adapted to the more orderly, but certainly easier to follow current structure as well as I should have. I also would just note that I think having a full committee structure and plans and policies are absolutely necessary for us to do our jobs on this board, because even though they're not paid, they are jobs, they are duties in a transparent way, because of how this has always been done. The natural way has always been for the city or the chamber to talk to the chair who puts together the schedule, and then it goes out. And as a result, I think a lot of us feel like, through no fault of the chair, when I say this, that we don't know what's happening at any given point or what's being teed up or what's kind of in the works. And I think with a committee structure, there will hopefully, it will bring a lot of us into this business in ways that we haven't been engaged in the past, and hopefully kind of help us know what is on first and second and third at any given point, so that it doesn't feel like certain deals are coming out of nowhere, which we know that they're not, and but that takes staff and time and committees. So but I'm looking forward to the opportunities to do this. I think that we can really, all of us on this board were appointed by members of the most progressive council Nashville has ever had, and I think they were very intentional in appointing people, even with different perspectives, that will treat these issues as they would like to be seen in a progressive way, and I think that we can do that. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you for your comments, feedback, and certainly we'll continue to try to make every effort to be as transparent as possible. I mean, because I think it's beneficial. Obviously, we've taken the step of adding, within the past year, the summary of agenda, which is detailed. So certainly that's to help you all and help me as a board member to know, kind of get a summary on it, but also we post that, and so it gives you a lot more information than just this item, so we'll continue to do that. I'll tell you that the deals like Courtney's talking about, I don't know about them either. So I don't know either, but yeah, we'll continue to make every stride, and certainly as we move forward, certain items that we want to focus on. So if we want to, for example, if this board says, after the retreat, we want to put together an affordable housing summit. Yeah, let's do that. Then we can put those types of topics, with the agenda. So one of the things that we'll continue to try to do too, like I said, is for the more complicated items, like with bond deals, because there's so much paperwork. We'll have multiple meetings on that and get everyone comfortable. That way, you make the best decision. You have all the information to vote how you choose to do so. So anyway, I thank you all. It's been awesome. So just from a scheduling standpoint and just hearing everyone, so we're looking at July 14th or 15th for the retreat, here in about a month. Some people, I think the 15th seemed to work better for people, but keep in mind this will be longer than our typical IDB meetings. And I literally just thought about this last night as I was thinking about the meeting. I think I don't think everybody can attend. I think some people are coming in on the 14th. They could make the 15th work. I think we may have some people out. Would it make more sense to push this to August after school is back in session? Again, we'll figure out the date, but my kids are, everybody maybe people have kids in different places, but I know I have kids in Metro, but I think some of us do too. But would that make would that make more sense? And we'll figure out a date and a location. But anyway, if not, we can keep it the 15th. But it seemed like that timing, there's some people on vacation and kind of tight. But you all kind of let me know.
I just want to give a quick thought. There's actually, as you go into this retreat, there's a nice good book to read about economic development. The book is called Economic Development. It's not for amateurs. So it gives you a very short synopsis about economic development and how it works and things you can do as this body. It's about 70 pages, so it's a quick read. And I think the book is about $10. So it's something y'all look into to read before you go into the retreat over the summer. Like nice little summer reading in your backyard while you barbecue, having some East Nashville beer.
Man, talk about free promotion. On
TV and everything.
Thank you for that. As you said, economic development, not for amateurs.
The title of the book is Economic Development is Not for Amateurs.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. What for dates? Does that seem like that might work better? Do it in August. You're good either way.
Yeah, August is the.
Once school is back in.
Yeah, and I think Winnie and I both have kids in private schools, and they start later. Hers is older, so I don't want to speak for her, but it's probably easier for her regardless anytime in August than I have childcare.
I'd be fine either way. I was good on July.
The Friday,
only the Friday, because we're taking a big 2-week trip. But yeah, August is definitely more clear, I think, for most people, just because get them back in school.
Yeah, I have a work obligation on July 14th and the 15th, so I'll be traveling.
Board Member Johnson, any?
It's a hot girl summer.
What? Can you define what that means? Do you want to tell us what that means?
Blonde braids. Don't forget the blonde, Courtney. Yeah, that just means that I'm going to be in the wind. It's hot.
So maybe August, if I understand it's a hot, maybe August would be better.
August is winding down. School starts, so August.
It's still hot, but the hot girl summer is over. Okay.
It's over there, yeah.
Or winding down at least.
Mm-hmm. I do want to, before I go, say happy birthday to Courtney.
Oh man! Dang, he's got to count backwards. Well, let's do this then. We'll get some information out. It sounds like we could do it on the 15th, but certainly sounds like it would be better to do it potentially in August. So we'll have our next meeting normally scheduled like we normally would in July, and then let me get with the. We'll talk with the carpenters and see on scheduling, and we'll get something out here in the next couple of weeks. Everybody can plan accordingly. And what I would envision is probably after that session, we probably at some point here over the next couple months would have another session kind of separate from this meeting where we can kind of just talk and, really have a think session based on what we saw and kind of what we want to focus on based on that. So we'll follow back up on dates. So for right now, we'll move it. We'll plan to try to do it in August. So, all right. If there's no other questions or comments, it's 11:56. I'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and Josh, do I have to make a motion for adjournment?
I would recommend you get a motion.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Do we have a motion to adjourn? It's 11:56.
Second.
Who was? Oh, sorry. We have a primary board member Davis, second by board member Wright. All right. Motion carried. Meeting is properly adjourned. Everybody enjoy your hot girl summer.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.